ever get that feeling like some people are so ahead of their time, it's almost like they knew something we didn't?
Oh, absolutely. Like they tapped into a different frequency or something.
Exactly. And that takes us straight to our deep dive today. And trust me, this one's a doozy. We're talking Nikola Tesla, a man who seemed to pull lightning from the sky.
Tesla, where do you even begin? The man was practically synonymous with electricity.
But what if I told you there's a story about him, a secret so wild, it might just make you rethink everything you thought you knew about genius, invention, maybe even reality itself.
All right, you've piqued my curiosity. What could this brilliant mind, this father of modern electricity, possibly have kept under wraps?
Well, to understand the depth of this secret, we first have to take a trip back in time. Imagine the late 1800s. Electricity is still in its infancy, right? And here's Tesla, this almost mythical figure already neck-deep in electromagnetic fields, pioneering the very technology that powers our world today.
A true visionary, no doubt. But he wasn't alone in his fascination with the mysteries of the universe. This is where our story takes an interesting turn. We need to bring another legend into the mix.
Oh, I know this one. You're talking about Mark Twain, the celebrated author, the man behind classics like The Adventures of Tom Sawyer.
You got it. It might seem like an odd pairing at first, the groundbreaking inventor and the sharp-witted author. But these two, they shared a bond.
More than a bond, they were actually close friends.
It's true. And, when you think about it, it kind of makes sense. You've got Tesla, already knee-deep in electromagnetic fields and alternating currents, which, by the way, power our world today.
Right, and then you have Twain, the sharp-witted wordsmith, crafting tales like The Adventures of Tom Sawyer. It's almost like they were drawn together by this shared fascination with the unknown.
And don't forget, this was a time when electricity was still a relatively new concept for most people. Tesla wasn't just fiddling with wires, he was practically conjuring lightning in his lab.
Can you imagine how wild that must have seemed back then? I mean, we still get a thrill out of a good Tesla coil demonstration today, right?
Totally. But what's amazing is that Twain, with his skeptical mind, with his feet firmly planted in the world of words and observation, even he was captivated by Tesla's world. Absolutely, and that says a lot, doesn't it? It speaks to the sheer magnetism of Tesla's ideas, of his personality, to draw in even the staunchest of skeptics.
And it's within this unique friendship, this meeting of minds, that Tesla chooses to share a secret so profound, so potentially world-altering, that he rarely, if ever, spoke of it to anyone else.
Okay, now you really have me on the edge of my seat. What was the secret that Tesla, a man not known for sharing his deepest thoughts, felt compelled to confide in his friend, in Mark Twain?
Get ready for this. Tesla, in all seriousness, believed he had made contact, actually communicated with another intelligence, an entity beyond our understanding.
Wow, okay. Now we're diving into some deep waters here. We're talking about Tesla, the father of alternating current, the man who illuminated the world, claiming to have interacted with what exactly?
He described it as a being of light, not like sunlight, but a pulsating energy that spoke directly to his mind. And it happened during one of his famous experiments.
Of course it did. We're talking about Tesla here, a man who seemed to live and breathe experimentation. But what kind of experiment leads to an encounter with a being of light?
This wasn't just any experiment. Tesla was known for pushing the boundaries, right? He was fearless, some might even say reckless, in his pursuit of knowledge. This particular experiment involved a high-frequency apparatus, basically a machine designed to manipulate electromagnetic fields. And get this, he used it on himself.
Oh, hold on. He used it on himself. This wasn't some theoretical physics problem he was tackling. He was the experiment. Talk about dedication.
He was basically using his own brain as a giant circuit board.
This guy was
Bolder than I am with spicy food, that's for sure.
Indeed. But remember, this wasn't just some haphazard experiment, right? Tesla, he had a method to what might seem to some like madness.
Oh, absolutely. He believed he could unlock hidden potential within the human mind. He was convinced there were realms of consciousness that were normally inaccessible to us mere mortals.
And his chosen method for this particular exploration, inducing a deep sleep, a trance-like state, using this high-frequency apparatus.
Okay, so picture this. He's hooked up to this machine, he's in this deep sleep, and that's when things get really interesting. This being of light, it appears to him.
Not just appears, it communicates with him. Tesla was adamant that this wasn't just a dream or some kind of hallucination. This was real, and he was changed by it.
So what did they talk about? I mean, what does a being of pure energy discuss with a brilliant, albeit eccentric inventor? What was the message?
Well, that's where things get even wilder. And that's a story for another time. So we're talking about Tesla receiving a message from a being of light, a being of pure energy. During a self-induced electro-hypnotic trance, I mean, where do you even begin to unpack that?
Right. It's like something straight out of a science fiction novel, except this is Nikola Tesla we're talking about.
Yeah.
A man who seemed to walk that line between scientific genius and, well, let's just say unconventional thinking.
Absolutely. And I think it's important to remember that we can't view Tesla's experience in isolation, right? We have to consider the cultural context of his time.
You're right. It was the late 19th century, the dawn of the electric age.
Yeah.
But it was also a time when spiritualism and esoteric ideas were having a resurgence, even among some pretty well-respected scientists and intellectuals.
Precisely. Seances, spirit photography, people were hungry for answers, eager to connect with the unseen world. Now, whether you see those as legitimate explorations or simply parlor tricks, there's no denying that they were part of the zeitgeist. And Tesla, for all his brilliance, was still a product of his time.
So are we saying Tesla's experience was more in line with, say, a seance gone right, or are we talking about something else entirely? It's a bit of a head-scratcher, to say the least.
It's tempting to draw those parallels, isn't it? But I think with Tesla, it was always more complex than that. Remember, this was a man who claimed to have a photographic memory, who could visualize his inventions in 3 dimensions down to the last detail without ever putting pen to paper. His mind just worked differently.
It's true. We've all heard those stories about geniuses and their eccentricities. The way they see the world, it's just different. But back to this angelic being. What was the message? Why reach out to Tesla, of all people?
Well, if Tesla's accounts are to be believed, it wasn't so much a message as it was a torrent of information. Imagine a universe of knowledge flooding his mind, bypassing all the usual filters and limitations of our senses.
Now that's an information overload I can't even imagine. Did he ever specify what kind of knowledge he received? Did it relate to his inventions, to his understanding of electricity?
He remained rather tight-lipped about the specifics, which, let's be honest, only adds to the mystique surrounding Tesla. However, he did hint that this encounter, this cosmic download, had a profound impact on his worldview, particularly his understanding of the potential of his inventions for both good and evil.
So this encounter with the One, this flood of cosmic knowledge, did it change Tesla's course?
It's hard to say for certain, but if we look at Tesla's life, there's a definite shift after this point. A sense of caution, perhaps even fear that wasn't as apparent before.
Fear? What did he have to fear? He was at the top of his game, revolutionizing the world with his inventions.
And that's precisely it, isn't it? He was dabbling in forces that most people couldn't even fathom. Tesla wasn't just tinkering with light bulbs, he was developing groundbreaking technologies. Things that, on paper, could unleash unimaginable power.
Like his work with atmospheric electricity, the idea of harnessing energy from the air itself. That sounds more like science fiction than science fact, even today.
Right. And while many dismissed it as the ramblings of a mad scientist, Tesla, he was convinced that it was possible. He believed that harnessing the very air around us could revolutionize how we generate and distribute energy. And let's not forget his work on what he called death rays, concentrated beams of energy with the potential for incredible destruction.
Okay, now that definitely sounds like something out of a superhero movie. But Tesla, he was actually trying to build these things. So the question is, if he truly believed in these inventions, why the fear? What made him pump the brakes?
That, my friend, is the million-dollar question. And I think the answer, if there is one, lies somewhere in that cosmic encounter and that flood of knowledge he received. It's as if, in glimpsing the vast potential of the universe, he also glimpsed the potential for its destruction.
So did this encounter, this download of cosmic knowledge, actually make Tesla question the very nature of progress? Did he wonder if humanity was ready for the kind of power he was uncovering? It's almost like he looked into the future and didn't like what he saw.
It's a chilling thought, isn't it? To have the curtain of reality pulled back like that, to see the potential for both incredible progress and utter destruction.
So what did he do with that knowledge? I mean, we know he continued to work on other projects, right?
He did, but there's a noticeable shift in his focus. It's as if, after that encounter, he felt a responsibility to guide humanity toward the light, so to speak, rather than equip it with the tools for its own demise.
And that's where Wardenclyffe Tower comes in. His dream of wireless power transmission.
Exactly. Imagine a world where energy flows freely, wirelessly, accessible to everyone. No more dirty power plants, no more fighting over limited resources. It was a utopian vision, really, but one deeply rooted in Tesla's belief that energy should be a fundamental right.
And this was back in the early 1900s, right? Way ahead of his time, as always. But this Wardenclyffe project,
Hmm.
it was more than just about free energy, wasn't it? There was something almost mystical about it, almost like he was trying to tap into something bigger than himself, something beyond the realm of conventional science.
It's true. There was this fascination he developed later in life with the pyramids of Giza. He saw them as more than just ancient tombs. He believed they were giant energy receivers and transmitters.
Hold on, pyramids, like the ones in Egypt, his giant power plants.
As wild as it sounds, Tesla was drawing parallels between the pyramid structure and his own work on Wardenclyffe Tower. He was convinced that there was a deeper understanding of energy and resonance, a hidden science, if you will, that ancient civilizations might have already mastered.
So where does this all leave us? We've gone from electricity and light bulbs to angelic beings and pyramids as ancient power sources. I have to say, this has been one wild deep dive.
It's a testament to the enduring enigma of Nikola Tesla, isn't it? A man who straddled the line between scientific brilliance and what some might call, well, out there ideas. He was a true visionary, someone who not only dreamed of a brighter future, but dared to chase those dreams, even if it meant venturing into uncharted territory.
It makes you wonder what other secrets might be hidden within those legendary Tesla coils, what other mysteries he might have unlocked in those late-night experiments.
And that's the beauty of exploring figures like Tesla. Even today, over a century later, he continues to spark our imaginations, to push us to question our assumptions about the world and the very nature of what's possible.
So the next time you flick on a light switch, maybe spare a thought for Nikola Tesla, the man who dared to dream of harnessing the power of the universe, who claimed to converse with beings of light, and who perhaps knew more than he ever let on.
And maybe, just maybe, those secrets are still out there, waiting for us to unlock them.